monthly Bikeways Committee meeting to order. We have in attendance Charlene Pilon, Charlie Walkley, what's your name again? Paul Gazai, and Fran Salewski. New business, approved the July minutes. I did send out the July minutes.
Yes,
so.
you did.
Yes,
Yeah,
you did.
you did.
Yep.
I don't know what to do about Andrew. I was going to, Andrew
Yeah.
is our secretary on record, and he hasn't been here in 2 months. I tried to email him, tried to text him, tried to call him, and no answer.
Well,
So I'll send him a letter,
hopefully everything's okay with it.
so.
Yeah,
I haven't actually met him in person yet.
Oh.
I haven't met Eric and I haven't
Okay.
met, yeah, so, yeah.
And I mentioned it to Eric on Monday or Sunday. I was up there. Anyway, he said he put it on his calendar, but something must have come up.
Well, we have a quorum, I guess,
Yes.
so we approved your last minutes.
Okay.
yes.
E-bike legislation, I sent out a copy of what Mass Bike had sent out, and I sent an email to the Cape Cod Commission for better explanation. Bernie, the rail ranger,
Range.
sent me an email asking me more questions. And I didn't have an answer for those questions, so I asked the Cape Cod Commission for an answer, and I didn't get anything yet.
If you don't mind, I printed this off. This was what the legislation, I believe, it's dated July 28th, the day they had the meeting, and I don't know, I mean, when I read it, the Ways and Means Committee, they did make a few adjustments, I guess, to the original, but interestingly, where did I read that as a town, we get to decide whether or not e-bikes are allowed on the trail that we have, even though, yeah, so,
Really?
Well,
Yeah,
the
read
way
it
I
somewhere.
look at it, it's a start. The state has finally come up with something to say whether or not e-bikes are allowed on the trail.
yeah,
And the National Seashore did it a couple of years ago, saying that e-bikes are allowed on any of their trails.
yeah.
And everybody else said, well, what about the Cape Cod Rail Trail? What about the other trails in Massachusetts? And so finally, the state came out with
Yeah,
some legislation saying the e-bikes are allowed. Now, what level of e-bikes remains to be seen, but
yeah.
at least it's something. And Eric was kind of disappointed that they didn't specify what kinds of e-bikes are allowed on the trails.
Right.
This particular sentence here, number 11C, it says, "A municipality, local authority, or state agency with jurisdiction over a bike path or bikeway after public notice and a public hearing may adopt ordinances or regulations prohibiting or otherwise regulating the operation of electric bicycles on such paths, including but not limited to the imposition of speed limits."
Mhm.
That was the clause I was looking for, I couldn't find it, but anyway, that's it, right there. So, but,
So what does that mean?
that's,
Well,
when I read it, I said,
so-
oh, I guess,
I wish we had our lawyer here.
yeah, I wish we had a lawyer. I mean, my sense about it is that that's the way they best feel they can control it is through use of speed limits. And I think we have all seen cases where we thought an e-bike was going too fast for, say, the size of it.
yeah,
But I have to admit, I don't see it every time I go out. And I think at some point we should do a speed limit, but I'm not sure what, if you, let's just say you mythically pick the 15 miles an hour. So if someone was going 16, would they get a ticket, or,
Who
you
would
know,
enforce it?
it would be a hard enforcement thing, and, it's tough from a legislative standpoint of what you want to allow, and I think Eric said it best for me. I think Eric felt like he wanted as many people to be able to use the trail, and his hope and wish was that everybody would be safe. And I think that's what I'm willing to say personally.
You know, mostly this legislation defines the different types of
Mm.
bicycles, electric bicycles, and they say top speed of 20 miles, they go 20 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Some of them require your active assistance and others don't, I guess.
Yep.
Anyway, but when I read that article, when I read that sentence, I thought, oh, they're not, the state isn't saying, oh, here you go, everybody can, they're saying, hey, you still have that opportunity to. Just the
Yeah.
other day, I was riding on the trail, and I thought, oh, there's another type of electric thing that just went by, an electric scooter.
Mhm.
And then there was a powered skateboard.
Yeah.
These people were riding side by side. I go, oh, they're, they're going pretty quick. But
Yeah.
they weren't going like 30 miles an hour or anything. But I thought, so there's other forms of electric things that are out there. Other
Yes,
than
there
that.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We saw 3 of the, what were those things where you get on them and you lean? They were very popular about 5 years
Oh.
ago.
oh,
Yes,
the
for the
Segway?
little
Segways.
kids.
Yes.
We
Oh,
saw
yes.
3
Segways.
Segways out
Oh,
there.
did you?
Oh.
Wow. Yeah.
And
No, those.
they
under-
weren't going fast.
I was gonna say, if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah,
Oh
absolutely.
boy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Again, it's tough. It's
It's hard to enforce,
hard to enforce.
Yeah.
but, and if somebody's going 20 and you got a 15-mile-an-hour speed limit,
Yeah.
how do you know he was going 20, other than,
It's
there's-
hard enough to maintain, the enforcement of roads, let alone bike paths.
I actually read an article of, in Houston, they had a park, and they wanted to enforce speed limits on bicycles, so they put a 10-mile-an-hour speed limit, and they were actively giving out tickets to all kinds of bike riders.
10? Ooh,
10.
that's pretty slow.
And the end result was one of the police officers ran a stop sign to catch somebody who was going over 10 and hit the rider and killed him.
Oh,
So,
goodness.
I think it's sort of an absurd story, but that really happened, and
Wow.
it's very difficult because the heavy e-bikes that go over 20, they go up to 28, and they have throttles, and we all know that that's way beyond what that trail was built for. So I don't, but I don't know how to legislatively say that. And let's just say somebody had that 70-pound, 4-inch wide tires, and they were going 10 miles an hour. Would that be okay with us? And I kind of think it would. I mean, I don't know how you all feel.
I don't have anything against
Yeah.
e-bikes. I just was surprised that was in there, and I
Yeah.
didn't know it was in a good.
I'm
hands.
glad you brought that. So
But I
and-
think, right, the Cape Cod Commission probably is the one to,
yeah, so that it's
To make the rules.
standardized,
yeah.
and that each town doesn't have a,
Even on Cape Cod, like you say, the Cape Cod Commission, and do a standardization.
but my guess is that they are thinking about this, don't you? Fran? I'm sure that they've read this document.
I just
Oh, yeah.
hoping that they put out something,
Yes, and I think maybe that's where our effort should be, right? To
because
see,
Yeah, clarify.
Focus on Cape
What-
Cod Commission.
yeah, when can
See
we
what-
expect something, or do you
And
need
when I-
input, or whatever?
when I asked them for more information,
Yeah,
like back in April, when we had the meet and greet on the trail,
Mhm.
I asked them for numbers,
Yeah.
and we'll get back to you on that.
yeah.
And then it was June before I got some numbers.
Mhm.
And then it was, well, this sensor's not working and we don't have the information from that sensor, and
Yeah.
so it was just partial information.
Right,
And Bernie's the one said, these numbers look low.
yeah.
And he says, I see a lot more people out there than these numbers.
Oh, is that right? Yeah. Oh.
So,
I agree, because you had said the counts were low, and yet we were out a few days ago, and there were so many people out there, it was a little crazy.
Yeah.
You know, when
It
the
has
weather
been very,
kinda really
very
was nice.
busy
Yeah,
on
it was-
on the
yeah.
trail.
Large groups of people.
Yeah.
It's not bad, but
Yeah.
Families,
That-
probably families.
families and people riding as a group, I don't know if they're, you know, like the newcomers or something like that, I
Yeah.
don't know. But you might see 15, 20 people.
Yeah, no, I've seen it too. and-
Yeah.
I mean, it's a draw. The bike path definitely is an asset for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, and I don't think the numbers are going down, and I know, you know, on any given day, and there's a factor of heat and humidity to that, I think.
on the Shining Sea today, we saw a lot more people coming when we were heading back in the afternoon
Yes,
than we did in the morning when we
Yep.
took off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Time, the time of day really makes a difference.
Huge.
Yeah.
huge,
yeah.
So
Okay, on to the next item here, update on the crossing lights. Why don't I turn that to Paul?
Basically, the two lights were installed. Don't know if you noticed,
people-
you know, they're
Yes.
different.
Yes.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
are.
And they have a push button.
Yeah.
I think initially, I think, not this committee, but wanted a push button.
Mhm.
And it could have been Sean from DPW to give somebody, I guess, a way of activating it if not the sensor, the beam wasn't working.
Yes,
This would activate it, and they're just out of Walpole. They
Yeah,
look
yeah.
good.
yeah, yes, they
They're-
The
do.
depot, and what's the other one at the,
Headwaters.
oh, Headwaters, okay, yeah,
So the two are there,
yeah.
and with that said, so they look good. They
Mhm.
seem to be working.
Charlie did a test.
I went, Chris and I, and so we wanted to, because we wanted to see if you push the button, if it changed how that light interacted with you. And it didn't. And what we also found out was, at Headwaters, it's a parking lot. So if you go to the parking lot and you get your bike and you ride or walk out to that crossing, you won't set the beam off.
Mhm.
So you're either gonna cross without the light, or you
Yeah.
go over and push it. So the push button is a great idea.
Yeah, and I think there was some feedback, I've read, online or wherever, that some people get really annoyed when, you're coming up and you see the
Yes.
lights are flashing, and you go, well, are they gone by yet? Are they
Yeah.
still coming? And I think some people are like, oh, I had to slow down and there was nobody
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
They're all upset about
Yeah.
stupid things like that,
Yeah,
but.
What's
yeah.
the alternative? Killing somebody?
know.
Right, you know, I mean, and they don't think that way.
So
No.
these
You
two
know,
new
I
ones,
slow
you
down no matter
actually
what.
physically have to activate.
You
them.
don't have to
Oh, you don't?
activate
Okay.
it. It's
Okay.
if I could,
As
Go
it's a
ahead.
backup.
It-
Yeah.
if you came up there,
Yeah.
and the vision I have is you're young mother, you have the baby in the cart and 3 other kids, and you're thinking, I really want that light before I cross, because I
Yeah,
got
for
a
sure.
big
Yeah.
gaggle. So it didn't come on for whatever reason, so now they can hit the button, it will come on. But if you ride up on your bike, it should
Trigger some-
engage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
I also noticed that there's a red light that shines down the
Right,
Yep,
pathway
And it
to say,
flashes.
there's a
Stop.
light here, folks.
yep.
right.
Which I thought that was a great
Yeah.
idea too. My question is, I don't know that functioned, I don't know if that was run that way to start up, so people knew there was a crossing there. Is that something that will continue? The next day when we rode on it, we didn't see that red light coming down, so I don't know.
Oh,
And
really?
I saw it the other day, so.
I send Fran little notes, because if Chris and I are riding around and one of the lights doesn't function properly, I just let them know.
Yeah.
Sure.
And they,
Yeah.
I don't
would-
know, I
would
don't know
hope-
what it is,
I would
but
hope if DPW
Yeah.
responds,
I think they do.
usually, like I said, last week, you did it.
Yeah, yeah.
I forget where.
Depot, I think it
Oh, it
was.
was Depot Street.
It was- yes, Depot Street.
And, and I forwarded that to
Yeah, okay, so I've been,
Link
you've
and
been getting.
Sean,
Okay,
and they usually jump right
They
on
usually
it.
jump right on it.
I just never hear whether they did fix it or not.
Well, we wrote it the next day. I should send when they fix it, because we wrote it the next day and it was working. And so I go, oh, okay, good.
They're
My,
good,
my
they
first
work.
impression when I approached that light and I saw it was right, I said, oh my God, did they turn their light the wrong way?
Right,
I
right.
thought, oh, and I said, no, they wouldn't do a thing like that.
Yeah,
I thought that too.
we had no idea because we weren't part of the procuring session that,
Yeah,
you know, they went to a different company
Yeah.
yeah.
and
Where did the money
I
come from?
sent you that email. And Walpole,
It came from Cape Cod Commission. They
Oh,
got a
no.
grant.
No,
One did, right? Or
yep,
one
one
came
paid
from
for,
a grant,
one paid for the town
and
and one
one,
was a grant.
one was through CPC.
Oh, okay, all right.
It's CPC, yeah.
Correct.
I thought they
And,
both came from the CPC. No.
No.
No, one was a grant.
That's why we withdrew
You
our
withdrew,
application,
you,
because
the
we
paperwork
got the
is-
one from the commission.
and,
Oh, is there another one going in at 124 right at,
well, there's the
Center?
issue. Might as well lead right into,
oh, okay,
I
sorry.
sent Link an email about
Yeah,
a week and a half ago, and I haven't heard anything yet. I don't like, but I'm gonna have to pressure. We all think met Steve Tupper at the meet and greet from the Cape Cod Commission.
Mhm.
To this day, right now, we still do not have an engineer, but they determined that it has to have an engineering review of some sort, because of the way the roads interact, like, let's just say Oak Street, you know, with coming off of Brooks Park, and
Mhm.
how are they gonna handle that?
okay.
The best way to approach it, I guess, and we do need engineering support. Well, Harwich doesn't have an engineer. Steve Tupper, though, was a safety engineer in his past life.
Okay.
So he was gonna take it upon himself to review it and look at it. I sent an email to Link, because I don't wanna overstep my bounds, and he said he forwarded this to Steve Tupper.
Oh.
I still haven't heard of anything yet. I'll let it go a full 2 weeks,
Yeah.
Yeah,
because I basically noted to him, we got 8 weeks left. I mean, end of September, this paperwork has to be into the CPC. So we've gotta have some, and it takes more making copies, but it takes
Yeah.
a few days, you know,
Yeah,
to think
yes, it
about
does.
and make, and get this paperwork in place and get it to the town hall
Yeah.
physically.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's not a lot of
so, I will start to be a pain a little bit, but
Only
I
because of
will
a
do that.
deadline. Yeah.
And so, cause I won't be around the end of September, you know, and, so, we need to have that done before then.
Okay.
Is the
Yeah.
bottom line.
Here's my guess. It's a complex problem.
Yep.
That involves volume of traffic, the volume coming off of, going down to Main Street and coming off Main Street. And it also adds to the danger of the crossing in that the one is always backed up and the other might not be. And so as you start, they see you, but they don't.
Yeah.
So it's a very, and if you put a gate there or something else, you compound the problem backwards towards Main Street and Route 6. So it could be a real mess there.
Yes, it could be. It
And
could
so
be.
it really, it does require
Yeah,
those,
I get it.
those folks, and I think it requires someone who has that kind of knowledge.
Yep, and it sounds like
Yeah.
Steve Tupper
Yeah.
does.
Okay,
And at the time, he was willing. I don't know how much is on his plate right now,
yeah,
but I have no problems. I hate to go through Link and bother Link, you know?
I
I
understand.
would love to go direct, but I don't wanna step on
I know, I'm kinda like.
anybody's toes, but we gotta act fast.
yeah.
Well, we're on the subject, I talked with Bob Oliver from the Chatham Bikeways Committee, and I said, you know, you guys could really use a light down there at Stepping Stone and Queen Anne.
Yep.
I said, it's a hard intersection
Yep.
to get across. And he says, they have the funds to put in a light. but they need engineering support.
Oh, no.
Same thing.
Oh,
He said
Chatham
they-
must have an engineer.
They need
They took
to,
ours.
they need to move
Yeah.
a crosswalk, because if they stop traffic, or the traffic's trying to turn on to Stepping Stone, then it's gonna block somebody else. And
Yeah.
he said that they have to really study that intersection before they put in a light.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I says, oh, you got that problem too?
I think our engineer, two of our staff went to Brewster, I think, engineer and someone else.
Oh.
I don't know.
I
So I
didn't
read in
know
the
that,
paper.
yeah.
Oh,
Anyway, we lost two people to Brewster.
I heard that things are progressing, on getting an engineer,
Great.
Good.
but I think it'll take another town meeting before they can approve the funds,
Yeah,
and I'll let it be at that.
yeah.
On to the next topic, hydration stations. There are 4 hydration stations that were purchased through a gentleman in town, Patrick Autumn. He was the lead person in eliminating plastic water bottles.
Ah,
So he went before the CPC, and they turned him down for the money for these hydration stations. So he donated the money himself.
wow.
The water department purchased the stations and had them installed. There's one at Brooks Park,
I'm trying-
which was a very nice sign from the trail.
I know, it was great,
Uh,
yeah.
There's one at the Chamber of Commerce,
Mhm.
and there's one at Red River Beach, and there's one at 124 at the Pizza Shark. The Pizza Shark is across the street. This one's kind of hidden, and it could use a sign, but I don't know who to approach to get a sign there.
Do you think we should do a sign, or just a sticker, or just
Have you
something?
seen the one at Brooks Park?
I did,
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a
I
big
have.
sign saying hydration station and an arrow pointing down that path to the hydration station.
Yeah, it's on
Really?
the left-hand side as you're traveling.
See, I never,
Yeah.
I never saw the
was
sign.
looking
I've
for
been
it.
at the water, I've been at that specific water station,
I didn't
but
see the
I
sign.
didn't see the sign.
So I don't know whether to email Dan or, Link hasn't said anything about it.
Maybe Dan?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Dan is the, sorry.
Did you see the
Heads-
way it was
heads of
marked
water
in
department.
Boots Hole today?
And he installed them.
No,
There was a hydration station there.
I used it.
And they had stripes around it like this, and then they had some kind of sign on it. And it looked pretty good. I haven't seen that sign.
No,
I'm just afraid of vandalism. We all are. And so I say we try whatever is
Yeah.
the simplest thing to do. And I did see a sign for a hydration station. It was just a piece of, they call it poster board.
Oh, yeah.
And it had something that was printed and pasted on it with 2,
Oh, kind of like an election sign. Yeah.
just like an election sign. And put it, and I thought, well, if somebody breaks it, he
See,
could
I was
have
thinking
a
of
backup. But
that's more visible
Yeah.
versus, I was thinking that, we could purchase stickers that say water, but it'd be right on the water station.
Yeah.
It's not pointing you to, like you say, Brooks Park has at least a little sign that says.
yeah,
You can get.
That
a-
was what
Because
was
it's a
told me.
green, because it's a green post, that's it.
Yeah.
Where Orleans has multiple water, the dog one too, so it's bigger.
Yeah.
But these need some kind of identification.
yeah.
Yeah. Especially the one at Pizza Shark, like you say, it's hidden away, but
Yeah.
I didn't see it. I was looking for it.
Yeah, once you
I was
see
whizzing
it,
by though, I was like, oh, where? I was-
once you see it, you go, how did I miss that?
Yeah, well, maybe that's
Yeah,
what it is.
yeah. I don't know.
Is it on that map?
Do you know,
Some of them are on the map.
Um,
well, the water
That's not
stations
the
would
right
be
map.
I
Paul,
wouldn't
that's
know.
not-
This
Paul,
is-
you have a
this
copy
map
of the
is-
CCRT map?
in the car.
The CC,
I,
yeah,
I made one myself.
the CCRT
Oh,
map.
I got
did
the old
have-
one.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
doesn't
have
have
it.
on
I don't
there.
have the
I
new
just
one.
photoenlarged
And new one's
it
in my
and
car.
taped it
So,
up.
so it has,
That wouldn't have it either, cause
Yeah.
this was
Yeah,
developed 3
so-
years ago.
okay, so the newest
Is there a
one that
newer
we
one?
have, we both probably have them in our cars.
Okay.
I have them in my car.
But-
I
they-
went online trying to find
The
those.
water stations are on them and the repair, the
Yeah.
fix-it
Right.
signs are on.
So-
So it's a good start.
On our way out to the parking lot,
Yeah,
mention it to,
Yeah.
and we all have one in our car, so.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
right
Because you
on.
should, it's really helpful to know, I've already gotten people over using it, who
Yeah.
were working on something, I said, hey, there's a thing right over here. And everybody was thrilled.
Since he knows you, do you mind sending, the water department guy, Dan, an email saying, see if we can get a sign at the pizza shop?
Yeah.
That'd be better than stickers, I guess, or something like that, or water,
It
or,
would be simple to, I'm not sure what the sign is, but it
The
sounds like,
sign,
yeah.
the sign's about,
Yeah,
Yeah,
about yay big. It's,
Yeah.
it's not like a monster sign.
it's really
Yeah,
obvious,
yeah.
yeah,
it-
yeah.
except
Red
to
one.
Paul.
And me,
I
first I probably didn't drive,
I
probably
guess I
didn't
don't
drive by.
read signs, and that's what, that's a long story, too much verbiage on a sign, especially when you're biking,
Yeah.
and I'm not a fast biker,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's, I'm oblivious to it, too many words, 3, 4, 5 words, water station is nice,
That's all
or
there was,
whatever,
yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah,
Fix-it stations.
Yeah.
There's gonna be one here at the community center, on the other side, on the rec side, Carolyn said.
Okay,
We wanna get the word out about that, event that she's putting on.
Next Tuesday, yeah.
yep, the
I'm
23rd,
off Cape that day, I can't believe it. I would go, but I'm not actually going.
Um,
Damn.
So, there's one gonna be here, one at Brooks Park, and I think there's gonna be one at each beach.
oh, each beach
Bank
at least,
Street Beach,
Wow,
Red River, and what's the beach down there in the west end, West
yep,
Harwich? Pleasant Road, I guess.
Pleasant Road.
yes, yeah.
And the funding, was this the community center director who, or
Yes,
she initiated or got the money from the Cape Cod Commission? or-
yes.
Yep.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Because then we
she's-
were talking about it, and I
she's a
thought,
biker.
I didn't even know she was doing, I mean,
She's
you know,
She's
I
an
had
avid
I had
biker.
no clue, she's an avid
Yeah.
biker,
And
and,
a biker and,
that's awesome.
yep,
I mean, it
Yeah.
seems they're dying to give their money to somebody.
well, you know,
That's
and
it.
the more that they're around, the more that they'll be visible at least, and
yeah.
Yeah.
maybe I could have replaced my tube, a lot easier if I was near a bike fixing station.
Yeah, yeah.
But, that's good, I'll be there on the 23rd, right now, I've got it on my calendar.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna
on
be
my
around.
calendar.
It's on my calendar.
Okay, you're gonna bring, water bottles that you
No,
have extra?
I gave them to Carolyn already,
Okay,
and I had some old T-shirts that were left over from the last bike rodeo that we have, and they say Harwich Bike Rodeo, or I rode the Harwich Bike Rodeo, or something like that. I gave them to her, and she says, wonderful, she can give them out.
yeah,
Nice.
Great thing.
With all these improvements, Fran, to be honest with you, when I saw the minutes and Jay Allen, he said that the QR code things work. And I have not actually tried it, because like you say, you're just driving along, you're not.
Yep.
And I gotta try it. He said, yeah, let me know if they're not working. I go, has anybody
I
put
haven't
in their
tried.
phone out a QR code? No,
Now, the
I-
QR codes are on the sign, on the
Kiosk.
kiosk, okay.
Yeah, and I
Is it
I
on
didn't
the
know
brochure
where.
too?
Yeah, that's what I was.
No,
I don't think it is, okay.
So the kiosk at the Rotary, you mean, or?
or almost any kiosk, if you're going through
Okay.
I know for sure the Dennis and the Yarmouth,
Okay,
has a
the QR.
QR code
Great, I'll have to try that.
If,
Feels stupid.
And I-
and if you see ones that need it,
Yeah.
we can put them up.
Yeah, yeah.
Where was it that was ripped off? And I mentioned to you, but that
Very
was
few
well
of those
over a
have
month
been,
ago.
yeah,
Yeah, they haven't been touched much.
you've been lucky at those.
Yeah, there was one.
Yeah, there was one.
I can't
So with
remember
it, all
which one.
these new things coming on board,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know if, Jalen, does he update, you know, like, okay, here's where there's the fix-it, now we have these fix-it stations,
Mhm.
and, or at least one on the trail anyway, and then, the hydration stations and so on, so, do they get added to the map?
You go ahead, Fran, I know you know.
Like Charlie said, I believe they're already on the new map.
Oh, okay,
They're not on this map, but
Right. The map they're on, wasn't that done by the Friends of Cape
Right.
Cod Rail Trail?
Correct.
And
okay,
the, the people that are involved with that are forward-thinking, shall we say.
nice.
Because they printed that 6 months ago, I believe. So that, but this winter,
Yeah,
we should let them know. Fran's on that committee, so
yeah,
they'll
that's,
know.
I know, you're the secretary, right?
And so that's really how that gets done, and it's amazing that it does, and
Awesome,
it's
awesome.
great.
So, I hate to say it because I've got probably a half a case of the, I don't know exactly how many is a half a case, but
Yeah,
I'd have to
yeah.
go down cellar and look, but
Yeah.
we probably got 1,000.
Mm.
I at least have 1,000. I don't know if you've got any of the
No.
Harwich.
I have very few.
I don't have a ton.
I've got
Yeah.
quite a few. I've got the case.
I'm gonna
Now-
stop at the church tonight and put these up, a bunch of those in.
Okay, neat, if you,
On
you
124.
you have them?
Yeah, I got them right in my
Okay.
car, yeah.
So I'll take some too. Take some
Okay,
out of
I've got
your
a
box.
few, we'll have to, I've got a lot of them, I got some at home.
I'll-
Okay, what I was getting at though is, you know, we're gonna have to get this updated, which means we got money from, half of it was Chatham and half of it was, us actually linking.
For this map.
Yeah, for this
Okay.
map.
Mm.
And it was like, you know, we had to
Yeah.
ask them for like $300
Yeah,
or something like that.
something like that,
And
yeah.
they kind of both split it, but
Yeah.
it'd be a good thing to do. Might be on the agenda if we ever get back together with Chatham to have, you know, to
Yeah, that's
update
great.
the map
Good idea.
and
I'm planning on riding with some of those Chatham guys on Thursday, and I'll mention it I'll ask them when they're planning on getting new maps or reprinting these or
okay,
updating these.
Great,
yeah, because
Maybe
that
they
would
don't
make
have any
sense.
plans,
Yeah,
Yeah, because they're literally small changes, you know?
because
yeah.
they now have map boxes.
Yes.
Metal ones or?
No. Ones like you made, only smaller.
Oh, okay,
And they're painted white and they're on their kiosks now.
all right,
More attention.
interesting,
You
you
And,
know?
Steve is the one who
fast.
built them, and he
Okay.
said he built them out of recycled materials. And I didn't ask him what the recycled material was, but
I built the original ones and the wood just doesn't last. I
Yeah.
built them years ago.
Yeah.
And we just purchased one, or I just purchased one, actually for the Cape Cod Rail Trail, and that little black mailbox, metal one, it's now in Eastham,
yeah,
I think it is, you know, we figured we'd try it.
Yeah.
Nice.
And,
it's not very
it's-
visible. It
it's.
doesn't get used very much.
No,
No kid.
it's it's a little too wide, but we've got the Cape Cod Rail Trail logo on it.
Yeah.
And then I put maps, you know, with just the sticker gold
Yeah,
maps on it,
Yeah.
but it doesn't get used much.
Your clear one is a brilliant idea. They
Yeah.
can see it.
You can see it, and that's why the fold is very different on this. It's not
Yeah,
a standard trifold. And the
Yes.
only reason is so that when we developed this, it was like, it's the only way that people could see that it was a map.
Yeah,
because you couldn't go, do your standard trifold, so they're folded different. And, but getting the plexiglass.
it was a
and-
great, Fran educated me on that when I was first putting them in, because I put it in upside down. So, no, you can't do that. Right?
And you have to put them in carefully.
You have to put
On
it
the
in
plastic
carefully.
ones.
Yes, he gave me right lessons.
Yeah,
Well, that wasn't on the agenda, but
yeah,
the next item on the agenda is update on the construction of Chatham's new section of the OCRT. Once again, I'll check with Bob Oliver on Thursday and see what their schedule is like, or proposed schedule. But I spoke with him last week, and he said their idea is where you come out of the trail by the airport, it's gonna be, the crosswalk is gonna be a little further south than where it is now.
Mhm.
And the trail is gonna run both ways. So you're gonna cross that street,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
so you're gonna go further down
You're gonna go
by the
across to the
airport?
airport
Yeah,
and then down
yeah,
that side of the street.
okay.
And the traffic, the bike traffic is gonna go both ways.
Mhm.
They're gonna eliminate those parking spaces that are right there.
Mhm.
Oh,
And everybody's gonna park in that dirt lot down, further down.
Yeah.
And it's only gonna be down to where the trail exists now.
Mhm.
They have or they will be submitting a new proposal to continue down to the Rotary,
Yeah.
and then perhaps even further down. But he said that's in the future, and,
Their funds were approved.
right, their
Yeah.
funds were
Awesome.
approved, and they're in the planning process now. He said the director of their DPW is looking, asking for bidders on the project,
Yeah,
and
very good.
Terrific.
Did you see their new rock that they put on the trail? Just after Meeting House, the crossing there,
yeah,
there's a rock on the grass, and it's a piece of granite, and it says, center of town, 4 miles. And I just noticed it just last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's.
I
think it's good.
noticed it
Yeah.
too.
did you know?
It's just,
I don't, we just went there last week.
We just went there, and I believe I saw it. But
Yeah.
I thought, well, it's probably been there for 100 years. I never saw
I
it.
know, I'm pretty sure it's new.
It's new, okay.
I think so.
The next item on the agenda is the future repaving of the Old Colony Rail Trail and funding. Several months ago, I heard from Link about that topic, and he wrote back, and he said that he put in a request, a grant request
Mhm.
to repave the entire Harwich section of the Old Colony Rail Trail. He said it's 2 years away, but he has the funding for it.
Oh. So 2024.
And seeing that all the trouble we're having getting a light installed, I can imagine the engineering that's gonna go into the
oh, yeah.
trail.
Mhm.
Yeah. In the
But,
meantime, Fran, I was wondering, I mean, somebody very kindly, it must have been maybe Eric, I know, it wouldn't have been Eric, somebody put a nice red, really bright
Yeah.
red where that really bad crack
Yeah.
is, or the, whatever, root thing. And boy, there's a couple of other places, man, we could use a little
Yeah.
paint job, because,
Yeah.
Just past the cemetery heading west.
oh yeah, that whole
Um,
area is bad through there.
Go ahead.
Charlie said he saw, was it Home Depot?
Yes.
Where you would put the paint can in a stick or a container.
Yes.
And you don't even have to bend down to.
Correct.
Ah,
Contractors use them.
Yes, Yep.
I saw a lady
use
out
them-
there doing
We
it.
use them to
Yeah.
set up the
You know,
field.
she had nothing to do
Oh,
with,
okay.
Yeah.
but she
Or-
just,
So who has them?
as you say, yeah.
That'd be awesome. I didn't know
So
who
you
got it.
Purchase?
No.
Oh, no, well, Cranberry Harvest Festival has them.
Okay,
Um,
so maybe we could borrow one. And get a can of paint and,
I'd be surprised if Eric wouldn't have one of those, but
oh,
if need be,
he didn't have any paint at the beginning of the season, so.
You know,
yeah, because then you don't have to bend down.
And
That's
he
how
said Bernie can't get down there to paint the,
No, it's, yeah, very, very simple, you know,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'm part of
I know, because,
the Cranberry Harvest Festival, you
Yeah.
know, the volunteer for those, and yeah, when we mark off the field, one of the guys has a can, white paint,
yeah.
Yep.
Alright.
just a trigger from up above.
Mm.
I would think Eric should have at least one of those, that would be wonderful. Could we borrow it? Probably, I know the right people to,
okay.
you know, to go see, or they can tell me where we can buy them. I mean, they've gotta be cheap money. It's,
Yeah, they're, it's pretty, the lady that was doing it just took it upon herself. She went to Home Depot and bought these and was trying to be helpful.
at Home Depot.
I listened to her story and felt I didn't
Oh,
say
is that
anything.
right?
Yeah,
Oh,
I was glad she
I've
was
often
doing
thought
it.
I should do this because, man, you know, you just pick up your head for a second and,
Oh,
I hit that damn.
Yeah,
you
right,
know, that-
really.
I
you
call them
know?
little volcanoes or,
well, when,
you know.
my theory about it is when they become open at the top of that crack,
Mm.
now we know in the winter that it will freeze and that will get bigger and we will have a volcano and those are what are dangerous. And so, yes, and it transitions quickly to that and this summer, for whatever reason, boy, those roots have really grown and
Okay.
all of them have come up quite a bit.
Mhm.
And we were just on the Shining Sea that was smooth a year ago. And it was pretty doggone bumpy
Really.
today.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's a shame that when they do redo things that we can't somehow, I know I used to work in a different, I worked on my old profession that I worked in Canada. Every time they built a pathway, they always did something to the roots on the sides so that they
Yeah.
wouldn't go under and crack everything.
Mhm.
But I think it requires maybe more excavation probably than what they're planning on doing, you know.
Well, at the last meeting,
I
I
don't know.
remember Alan saying that he was on some committee in Waltham at the time, and it
Oh,
was like $1 million a mile to do
My trails.
the, yeah, the rail trail.
yeah.
So
Wow.
I would have to assume that they're just not, yeah, you'd
just-
have to have trenches,
To
you
be
know, to
able
cut the roots at least.
Yeah.
Don't
So-
know.
You have to be careful. And here's the thing I figured out.
Okay,
The more shade that's on the trail, the more likely there's gonna be a bump there.
exactly. No,
So that when
I
you're
know.
going, oh, I finally made the shade, and you relax your hands,
yeah.
that's maybe the wrong time.
I know where they all are.
I
Trust
know
me.
where they are.
I just
So,
lift my hands, okay, I got that.
I'll take the action to either look at Home Depot, or I can ask, you know, locally, it could be just
Yeah.
Ace Hardwood, for all I know.
Yeah, I don't know.
They might
what,
have
you know.
just the,
I don't know if we wanna buy one to, just for use for now, because Link's gonna get the trail repaved in a couple of years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'd be willing to be a volunteer in helping to paint the lines
paint,
on
yeah,
whatever.
because you were
I
gonna,
mean, when we get to that stage.
we were gonna find, oh, and because Eric didn't have any paint at all, huh?
Oh, imagine, Link must have that pink paint,
Link must have that paint gun?
pink paint,
Pink paint.
Oh,
The one that they put on that really bad.
I would hope.
Yeah.
cause they're the ones who painted that bad spot over on what at Chatham. And when they were marking the trail for some reason, it was pink
Yes, it was.
over toward the rotary.
Mm-hmm.
So you could ask Link if we could do it ourselves. Maybe he doesn't want us to do it, and he would do it if we gave him where they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'll email Link. And if we need to do it ourselves, I know Cranberry Harvest has 2 of them,
Okay.
so.
So I think that's the fastest way to get it done, but
Yeah, you
That's-
can just go to the trailer, which is at the DPW, and, and get one guy to meet me there to unlock the trailer. That's all, because I don't have the keys for it.
The next item on the agenda is location of the bathrooms on the trail. Where are they and when are they open? Once again, on the new maps, there's an indicator that the bathrooms are there. And every time, ever since you mentioned that, I see the porta potties somewhere.
Yeah.
And last time I saw one was at Seymour Pond. So I asked Eric about it. And Eric said that each of the towns put up their own.
Okay.
And from what I understand, they're quite costly. So
Yeah.
they're only there seasonally.
Sure, that makes sense, yeah.
And I never noticed them before, you mentioning it, and all of a sudden, I see them everywhere. I see them in Orleans, Eastham,
Yeah, yeah.
Harwich.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, I think it was on Facebook that someone asked the question, and I thought, geez, maybe I should know this. I mean,
But it is seasonal.
yeah, definitely.
That's the problem, you know, come
Yeah.
Labor Day or so, or end of September, they're gone,
Sure,
Yeah,
makes
yeah,
sense, you know.
you know.
They gotta keep them clean, and, yeah, it's.
Yeah.
Because
it's-
at our last meeting, Alan runs running races in the Boston area. And he was saying that he needed several, or
Yep.
he needed some for a race that was coming up, and he said he had to pay like $4,000
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was,
for a one-day event.
yeah,
Holy smokes.
for multiple ones. I think they used to cost them $50 a day, and they were like $150 now, or some crazy
It was-
number. It was 3 times the amount in a year.
Yeah.
And he said he had to do it because the race was happening and he couldn't cancel it.
Yeah, okay.
So hopefully the new maps indicate all of them. I don't know. There's so many out there.
Yeah.
You gotta check the map as you go along.
Is this new map on a website, or I know
I
you guys
think
have
so. I
copies,
don't-
but what's the website that you access the new map?
FOCCRT.com,
Okay,
because I noticed that not all the sponsors were on the website. And I sent an email to the person who does the updating that she had to put all the sponsors on that website,
good idea.
because they're on the map. Let's
Mhm.
make the map agree with the,
You already covered it.
marking the larger cracks and holes. I guess we covered that, huh?
Yeah, we just
Mhm.
covered that, right?
So, on to old business, potential projects for 2022. Keep that in mind. If you can think of something you'd like to see done on the OCRT.
Okay.
I already mentioned to Link that I'd like to eliminate that hill where all the sand always accumulates.
Yeah.
And just last week when I was down there, there was a DPW machine on his way back from there.
Yeah.
So they're on it all the time, sweeping.
It's-
Yeah.
And we haven't had any rainstorms.
Right, we haven't had any rain.
We're kind of hoping.
Till tonight, maybe?
Oh, I'm praying.
Yes.
Um,
My
So
poor
if you can
boy.
think of any improvements to the trail.
You know, I know I'm on I brought up the thing about the lines, and I think it was Eric, and I think it was somebody from the CCC said, yeah, lines are not real popular, and I don't know why, because in the summer, I'm telling you, I wish there was a line down the
Yeah.
whole thing.
And the ones that Eric, or not Eric, but the state put
Yeah,
on the,
just a little short one, too.
yeah,
Yeah.
at least different ways, you know, every so often with the
Right.
different arrows,
Right.
Yeah,
which is fine.
take it, we'll take it,
But-
yeah,
Just reminds
Still,
people.
when you ride the trail,
yeah.
even though you have the arrows and the line, you'll see runners and walkers doing the opposite thing from the arrows.
Yes.
Blows my mind.
You
Yep.
can only lead them to the water, but you can't make them.
It is remarkable that people walk abreast, 4 people abreast, and they take
Yeah.
up the whole trail. I, personally, that would make me so nervous thinking a bicycle, I mean, I know I always say, coming up on your left, but some people don't say a word, and it's the
Right.
most scary thing when a bike goes whizzing by.
Zoom
me,
by.
and you're like, Anyway, they do it.
Charlie told me a story today about an encounter that he had, or he had heard of, that there was 3 riders abreast, and somebody yelled out,
Yeah,
and they didn't move.
They wouldn't, and it
yeah.
turned into a shouting match. They were mad at the biker trying to go around.
Oh, wow. I say, people are on vacation, you should mellow out a little here.
Yeah, this is Cape Cod. Our
Yeah.
blood pressures are 15 points lower.
Oh, man. Is Alan gonna be a new member? And that's gonna take time, I guess.
That's good, that's a good point. I don't know if I should say it in front of the TV, but they needed a resignation letter from the person who was on the committee. She submitted a letter of resignation, and the Board of Selectmen were I said, we have a potential member who has filled out an application and has had an interview with the selectmen. Could they appoint him? And I got the notice back from the assistant that they're talking, it's in discussion. And then they went to an every other week meeting, and it got kind of pushed aside, so I don't know.
Need to remind them again,
yeah,
maybe?
I think once the summer schedule is
Summer's
over.
done and
Yeah.
over in September.
Back in the-
So, and there's another member that doesn't show up too often.
Yeah, so if you know any good people that might want to join us,
I know of a couple, but
Yeah.
whether or not we have an opening,
we do.
Yeah.
we do, but we also have a body that wants to fill that opening.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing. It's just a matter of time.
Okay.
5:53 I have. Hopefully the meeting is adjourned, and we'll meet again on Tuesday, September 20th.